What's up, you guys? Welcome back and welcome if you're new. I know in today's video you guys are probably expecting a 3rd gen Tacoma install or a RAV4 install, but that's not going to happen today. Today we have a special guest right here with his 2nd gen Tacoma. You want to tell them what we're going to be doing today?
What's up, guys? Nate here with my 2nd gen Tacoma. Today we're going to be installing a Prinsu top rack on my camper shell. I know it is going on my 2nd gen Tacoma, but this is a pretty universal install for camper shells and Prinsu's top rack. So if you're looking at getting one or looking into trying to figure out how to install it, then this is a video for you.
And the cool thing about today's video, it's going to be super simple. It's not going to take that long. I know I've done a video on this in the past as far as how to install a Prinsu roof rack on a Tacoma, but of course today we're going to be doing it on a camper shell. So let's go ahead and now get into the video and we'll show you guys. Alright, you guys, so before we get today's video started, as always, we're going to go ahead and show you guys what comes inside the box, and then we'll show you guys how to install it. So first things first, you're going to get 7 of the crossbars, which are going to be those bad boys right there. And then you're also going to go ahead and get 2 side rails, which are that and that. So looking over here now to the hardware, you're going to get 4 of the actual supports, which are going to be on this side here. And you're also going to get a bag of hardware. So make sure you pay attention to this because this is what's coming next. But alright, you're looking right here, you're also going to get 6 of the legs. Those are going to be what's attached from the rack to the actual camper shell. And then you're also going to get the hardware for it. Looking on this side over here, you're going to get some more hardware, of course. And you're going to get some tie down points. That you don't really need to use it, but it's there if you need it. You're also going to get some Loctite because they do not provide lock washers anymore. So we're going to be using the Loctite for, you'll see why. Alright, so now that you guys saw what comes inside the box, let's go ahead and have Nate do the install.
All right, guys, so we're gonna get straight into it. Right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up the structure of the rack. For that, you're gonna need the hardware that comes with 30 of these bolts and 30 of these washers. For the frame, you are only gonna need 28, 14, and 14 on each side of each the bolt and the washers, and it does come with 2 extras just in case, you know, you never know what happens. And not only are you gonna need the bolts and the washers, but you are gonna need the Loctite for that. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So right now what I'm doing is I'm kind of setting this up so it'll be ready for when I need them. It's gonna go bolt, washer, and then into the frame rail and into the crossbar. Right here, if you can see, I kind of have it set up how I'm gonna kind of bolt it up. As you can tell right here, like on the Prinsu, it is pretty modular, so you can put the crossbars however you want them. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the I guess you can say designated mounting areas and do it that way. But like I said, it is modular. You can put it in whichever area you want. You do need to put Loctite on these bolts because the lock washers aren't provided anymore. But good thing is they do provide the Loctite for you. If you've never used Loctite before, you do need to know that a little goes a long way, and you kind of just follow up the bolt and it'll kind of spread itself out once it's threaded in. Do that with the 2 bolts that you're going to be putting it on. And then what I would do now is just cap so it doesn't dry out. And then I'm going to set up the frame rail. I have them kind of set up right here. Grab the bolt and washer. Line it up as best as possible. The first couple are always kind of tricky only because it's a little awkward. And thread it in. Once you have that threaded in, then go ahead and grab the second one because it is two per cross rail.
And one thing I did want to note while he gets that in there, as you can tell on the crossbars, there's a cutout right here and there's a cutout right here, and there'll be a cutout on the opposite side as well on each one. So one thing you do want to know is you want to make sure those little like cutouts, as you can tell, they all have them. You want to make sure those are pointed to the top. So that way when you go to install it, those are facing upwards. The reason for that is going to be so that way you can insert stuff and just kind of tie down stuff if you need to put it on top.
Right now we're basically just repeating the process for all 7 cross rails. So like I said, it's going to be bolt, washer, Loctite, little bead, nothing too much on both, and then thread it through. So it's going to be that way for all 7 rails, and then you're going to repeat the process on the other side. Right now I'm kind of just doing it hand tight so I can tighten it once it's all together. So I have this one side done. Now that you have the entire side done, you want to hurry up and tighten it as fast as possible, because the last thing you want is for the Loctite to dry before you finish tightening it. So what you need is a T30 Torx, and you're just going to go in and you're going to hand tighten about every one of them. The exact spec I want to say is 3 pounds, but as long as you do it hand tight, you should be good. You don't want to go in and use the drill, because if you use the drill, what's going to happen is you run the risk of shearing the head. And if you shear the head, well, then you have to try and get the bolt out and all that, but that's nothing to worry about because they do give you extra hardware. But so the next part is going to be putting the support brackets in, and we'll get right into it. For the so for the support brackets, you are going to need the baggie with the carriage bolts, the nuts, and the washers. Basically what's going to happen is you're going to set these up just like this, except you're going to have the carriage bolt and the rail. You are going to need 2 per rail, and then it's going to go like that, and you're going to put the washer and then the nut. So let's go ahead and do that now. You're going to need 4 per rail.
One thing we did want to note right now, you guys, is we do have the top rack facing backwards, meaning we have it on its bottom side. The reason why is because, of course, the legs and the support braces do have to be installed on the bottom, so that way when you go to install it onto the truck, you then flip it over and it'll be on its correct position. So that's what we have here right now. So to go ahead and install the carriage bolts, we're going to show you guys. So it's super easy. On the opposite side where you don't have the rail installed yet, the side rail, you just go ahead and literally slide them right in, just like that. And like he was saying, you want to put 2 on one side of the rail and 2 on the other side of the rail. That way it fits for these 4 holes. Damn, and just like that. So of course we also installed 2 more on this side, 2 more on that side, so on both of these rails, so that way when we go to install the brace, it'll fit in correctly. So just go ahead and line up the bolts, of course. And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to put it all the way to its edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and slide it all the way just until it's flush right here. Up next, you want to go ahead and get the washers that were, of course, provided in that same bag. So get 4 washers for that one and 4 washers for this one. Super easy, super simple. Alright you guys, so up next you want to go ahead and get the nuts that were provided, and you just want to go ahead and install them. As far as for the size on these bad boys, it is a size 11mm socket.
Guys, so we did get this one side support bracket done. It is going to be the same exact process for all other 3 sides, but before we get into that, we're going to show you how to mount the feet next, since that is what is next on the steps. So with the other, I believe the biggest bag, you're going to have these other carriage bolts again, and what you're going to need to do is it's going to be another 4 per foot, and it's going to be 2 on each side. Slide them through again and then kind of line them up more or less how you're going to do it. And then same thing, it's going to be 4 from the other bag washers, then 11mm nuts. With this one, I'm not going to go ahead and tighten it down all the way, because most camper shells will vary in size and the way you have your rails on the roof of the camper shell, and you may need to slide this around a little bit. So I'm just going to do a little hand tight so they stay on. Going down, we're going to work on the next foot real quick. So if you have 7 bars, this one will go in the middle. So if you're starting from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to be the same exact process from your big bag of nuts and bolts. You're going to get the 4 carriage bolts, 4 washers, and 4 nuts, and you're going to go ahead and slide them in. For the other side, basically what we're going to do is we're going to rinse and repeat, but starting with the feet. So you're going to get your 4 carriage bolts or carriage nuts. And then repeat this process on that side.
Don't forget to put the middle leg as well, and then we'll be done with this, and we can finally put the side rail on, and then we'll keep going. Good.
Alright guys, so basically Alright guys, so we have this side done. We have the support rail the foot, the support rail, and the bottom foot. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put the side rail on before we tighten all this down.
It's recording.
Oh. So now it's time to put the side rail on. I have it up like this only for ease of access because I don't really want to be putting the side rail on the floor. But if you have a table or anything that'll have the rack up, it'll probably make your life a little bit easier. So for this, it's going to be the same exact process as the first side. Guys, so what I'm doing here is basically just putting the bolts onto the rail. It's going to be bolt, washer, Loctite, and then go ahead and hand tighten it down. You want to do this as quick as possible, that way you can get it torqued down to spec before the Loctite dries. So now what I'm doing is I'm using the T30 torque spit to tighten these down at about a little more than hand tight. You want it at around 3 pounds of pressure. That way you can make sure they're nice and secured. We're gonna go ahead and do that, and then next what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and line it up with the roof rails that are already on my camper shell, and get ready to put it on for sure for final.
Alright, you guys, so now to go ahead and update you guys, as you can tell, we kind of have everything set up now. It's still on its bottom side, but we have everything kind of tightened, except of course the legs. Those are still just kind of hand tightened, and we can move them around because we do need to adjust them when we go to install. Let's get to the next step.
Next, for this is going to apply to my camper shell specifically. If your camper shell is a little different, it might be a little different for yours, but I have these end caps that go right here. I have to unscrew them to get them out, and that's only so that you can put these I guess squared nuts so that they can slide into the rail system. I'm gonna go ahead and put these in now, only because when we line up the rack and see where the feet go, it's gonna be easier to put these now. That way when it's time to bolt it down, they're already set. So this is the end cap that I took off. Like I said, it might be a little different than yours, but mine just has a little screw and a little nut. Really easy to take off. And then these are the little kind of square nuts that I was talking about. They go into your rail like this, and it'll be 6 per side, 2 per feet. And repeat the process on the other side.
Alright, you guys, so just so you guys take note, so the reason we were saying, of course, to leave the legs loose, that's a good thing that we did that. Reason why is because, of course, every camper shell is going to be slightly different as far as size. So for him, we actually had to take off the brace, move it inward, as you can tell. Now the brace is in. Before we had it off to the side. So now we put the brace on the inside, and the leg is actually on the outside now. And we did the same thing for this side, and of course same thing for the other side. Then we went to go ahead and test fit it, and as far as for his, for some reason on his camper shell, the rail that's already there is slightly smaller than I think it should be. So now what we have to do is actually put one of the legs inward and one of the legs inward. You guys will see what we're talking about once we get to that step. Now, of course, both me and Nate already put it in its position. We've test fit it. Of course, the first time that we did test fit it, we had to move some of the brackets around. All right, so now we finished up on that side. So let me go ahead and show you guys what we've done so far. So if you guys do remember, inside the rails on the actual camper shell, we slid these square washers in. So of course, these were going to be for each of the legs, which is going to be for that leg, that part of the leg, that leg, and so on all the legs. As far as for the hardware, it came provided inside with the legs, that baggie that we grabbed for it. So it's going to be this washer here and then this nut here. So basically what you want to go ahead and do is just grab your bolt, put the washer right over it, and then you want to make sure that those washers that we slid inside this rail just kind of line up like that, and you can see the threads. And then you just go ahead and put the bolt through. So I think it's supposed to come with lock washers, but it looks like ours didn't come with it. So if you guys do want to be safe, you could put some Loctite on this as well, just so it stays in place. So once you figure that out, you can go ahead and now just line up the threads like I said and bolt it down. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process for each leg. So as you can tell, those are done. I still need to do that side. And then Nate's side we've already finished, so that's already done. One thing we did want to note, the top section of these legs that are connected to the actual crossbars, those we still haven't bolted those down. We left those loose just in case we do have to kind of move the rack around. We can do so. So I'm going to go ahead and continue, like I said, with this. We're going to bolt all those down all the way tight, and then we'll go ahead and keep going. Now that it's nice and installed, as you can tell, we've tightened everything down, everything's torqued down. Of course, as far as our camper shell that we have here today for Nate's, we did have to adjust some stuff. For example, we had to adjust the legs. They used to be out here. We now put them on this bracket here, so there's the leg. And then same thing on that side, and then of course on that side and that side. Another thing we had to adjust, as far as, of course, like I said, for this specific camper shell, we had to adjust the brace. So if you guys do remember, the braces were actually on this side touching the rail. We just had to switch the legs with the brace, as like I said, specific to this one. So we adjusted the brace there, adjusted that brace, same thing there and there. So like we were saying earlier, make sure when you're installing this, just kind of leave everything loose at first, so that way if you guys do have to make adjustments just like we did to your specific camper shell, you guys can. So now everything, like I said, is tightened down, torqued down. It looks great. Now it's ready for a rooftop tent and a lot more things. So right now we're gonna have Nate just jump onto the rack. We're gonna go ahead and check out, see if it's as strong as the actual Prinsu roof rack. So sure looks like it. And oh damn, oh damn. Yep. Damn, is he gonna dance for us? Looks pretty sturdy to me. Alright, you guys, so of course now we finished up the installation. It did take a little bit of time, so make sure you guys kind of save a day just to do it. It shouldn't take that long. It just kind of, sometimes it depends on your camper shell, like we were saying, and we want to emphasize on that because you guys might have a different install. But as far as like the hardware and just the whole process, it should be the same for you. So yeah, so as you can tell, it looks really good. And the cool thing about this one here is he already has the Prinsu cab rack. So in the front, it looks great. We've already mounted, of course, an awning here. On the other side, there's a shovel, and then there's a couple other little things on the roof, kind of like max tracks. But as far as for the back right here, what we're going to be mounting is a rooftop tent. So now this thing's going to look awesome when it's all set up. But just with the Prinsu roof rack and the cab rack back here, it looks freaking awesome. So if you guys do want to get it, go ahead and check out the description box below. That's where you can purchase yours. So if you guys did like today's video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
The support rail and the bottom foot. What we're gonna do now is gonna put the side rail. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put the side rail on. I'm gonna put the last
side rail.
I have it up right here.
We'll start again.
Super simple. Please feel free to subscribe.